What if a single red carpet soundbite could burn through $270 million and tarnish a 90-year-old legend? That's not a hypothetical. It's the very real saga of Disney's 2025 live-action Snow White and the star who dragged it from surefire hit to box office cautionary tale.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
She just sounds bitter.
She was, as woke as they are.
The star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings.
Spend 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend. They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
And, the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Rachel is literally the star.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea. I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
Of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
From the moment Rachel Zegler's casting hit the timeline, a fairy tale morphed into a Twitter trench war, racial backlash, feminist infighting, political flameouts, even a mutiny from actors who felt written out of their own story. Tonight we'll trace every domino, tweet by tweet, dollar by dollar, until the credits rolled on what the Hollywood Reporter now calls one of the most expensive PR disasters in studio history. March 2022 should have been a victory lap for 20-year-old Rachel Zegler.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I'm getting on a coffee lunch here.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
She's talented, she's attractive, she's got skill, but there are a lot of actresses in Hollywood who bring all that to the table and are not going to absolutely sabotage your work.
She had just snagged a Golden Globe for West Side Story and landed the role of Disney's original princess. Instead, the hashtag #NotMySnowWhite trended within hours. Traditionalists insisted pale as snow was baked into the character's DNA. Progressives cheered the first Latina lead of a Disney fairy tale. Caught between the two, Disney doubled down on inclusion while online outrage simmered. Zegler tried humor, calling the animated prince a total stalker. The quip backfired, racking up millions of TikTok plays and planting the seed that she didn't even like the film she was remaking. Yet the bigger problem ran deeper than skin tone. Disney had already endured lukewarm returns on The Little Mermaid 2023 and Peter Pan and Wendy 2024. Investors expected a slam dunk. Instead, they watched the market's pulse drop each time the new Snow White made headlines for the wrong reasons. By the 2022 press tour, Zegler's media training looked non-existent. In interview after interview, she hammered the 1937 original as creepy, dated, and definitely not a love story, promising that her snow would lead a revolution, not pine for true love. Clips spliced into viral montages, each topping the last in snark. Meme accounts crowned her the queen of unfinished sentences, while conservative pundits labeled her the poster child for Hollywood tone deafness. Even some feminists cringed. Reimagining Snow White as a sword-swinging rebel felt ironically generic, one blogger wrote, because it turned a feminine fairy tale into yet another superhero origin. Quick pause, what do you think? Should Disney have shattered its own glass coffin or stayed loyal to the classic? Drop your take in the comments, and if you're finding this deep dive worth the watch, hit the like button so the algorithm knows you're awake. Back to our story. Then came a bomb Disney never saw coming. Emmy winner Peter Dinklage ranted on a podcast that Disney was still doing backwards dwarf crap. Within 48 hours, executives scrapped the 7 dwarfs entirely, replacing them with motion capture magical creatures. The move erased 7 plum roles for little person actors who went public with fury. "We just lost work because a millionaire decided it was offensive," one actor told Variety. Set photos leaked months later, full-size stand-ins holding chrome poles against a green screen meadow. Fans laughed, then raged. The CGI placeholders looked like bargain bin Funko Pops. Meanwhile, Zegler tweeted, "We're moving past outdated stereotypes, adding fuel to accusations that she was preaching inclusivity while colleagues lost paychecks." Disney's brand promise of beloved stories lovingly retold sounded hollow when listeners could scroll a feed of unemployed talent blaming the studio's panic. Summer 2023 only raised the temperature. During a SAG-AFTRA strike Q&A, Zegler, draped in the now famous yellow and blue dress, told followers, "If I'm trapped 18 hours in this gown, I deserve residuals for each hour it streams." Screenshots went viral. Critics called it princess payroll. The line played horribly against the strike's broader push for living wage background actors. Even supporters advised a social media timeout. It never came. Behind the scenes, the film's budget ballooned past $269 million after fire damage forced reshoots. Crew whispered about morale blackouts, NDAs, and sets where phones were bagged on entry to avoid leaks. Disney pushed the release from March 2024 to March 2025, publicly blaming strikes, privately terrified that every extra month meant another rabbit hole scandal. Any hope for a cooler 2024 vanished the night after the US election. Zegler posted an Instagram story reading, "May Trump and every one of his voters never know peace," capped with the full F word for emphasis. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Within 12 hours, Megyn Kelly blasted Disney on air, comparing Zegler to Gina Carano and calling her a walking liability. The fire Rachel Zegler trended alongside the boycott Snow White. Zegler apologized the next day, voice shaking in a 3-minute Reels video. "I let anger speak louder than love." Critics called it damage control. Fans called it growth. Disney called it nothing. The silence only made headlines bigger. Investors whispered about emergency recasts. Too late. Footage was locked. One executive, speaking off record, told The Wrap, "We prayed the box office would wash it all away." Publicists tried quarantine tactics. Zegler's talk show circuit was quietly canceled. Godot, playing the evil queen, suddenly fronted the marketing, fielding softball questions about sisterhood and sword training. Review embargoes were set just 36 hours before opening night, a trick usually reserved for known flops. Bloggers noticed and sharpened knives. Inside Disney, accountants stared at spreadsheets. To break even, Snow White needed at least $550 million worldwide. More if marketing blew past projections. That meant a family demographic turnout similar to Maleficent or Aladdin, but parental Facebook groups were still swapping boycott memes. The PR team's last gamble was nostalgia. TV spots leaned hard on iconic music and the Mirror Mirror line, cutting Zegler's dialogue to mere seconds. March the 21st, 2025 arrived, and the numbers were brutal. Thursday previews delivered only $3.5 million. By Sunday, domestic totals stalled at $42.2 million, the lowest debut of any Disney remake since Dumbo, 2019, despite ticket prices climbing in the intervening years. Worldwide haul for opening weekend, $88 million, absurdly short of the $150 million Disney had targeted. Chinese receipts barely cracked $900,000. Week 2 dropped 66%. Funko Dwarfs hit clearance by Easter. Analysts cited marketing fog, CGI uncanny valley, and audience fatigue, but every article also mentioned those viral Zegler clips. A Business Insider headline declared, "Disney's Thunderbolts opens wide, Snow White still bleeding." Today, industry chatter says Snow White may tap out under $300 million worldwide, implying a loss near $150 million after Panay. Executives hint that several planned remakes are now on ice. Inside talent agencies, Zegler's name reportedly carries a warning label, family brand risk. One casting director told Variety, "She'll work again, just not until the internet forgets." Meanwhile, little person actors are lobbying SAG-AFTRA for stricter inclusivity clauses so future CGI fixes don't erase their roles. Conservative media crows go woke, go broke, while progressive outlets blame weak marketing and superhero burnout. Wherever the truth lies, the lesson is clear. In 2025, a single sentence, tweeted, clipped, or streamed, travels faster than any studio spin cycle. When Disney first inked Snow White in 1934, the studio sold audiences on one simple promise: enchantment. 91 years later, a remake sold them a lecture and received collective indifference. Rachel Zegler's talent isn't in question. Her crisis management is. In an era where cameras never sleep and hashtags stick like burrs, she turned the kingdom's goodwill into a PR wildfire. The moral isn't silence your stars, it's choose them and their media strategies wisely. If you've enjoyed peeling back this fairy tale fiasco, fire up that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive, and share the video with a friend who still thinks a Hollywood budget guarantees a happy ending. Until next time, stay curious, and keep both eyes on the fine print before you bite into any shiny red apple.